So welcome to the adult 40 and over section championship captains meeting. Thank you guys all for being on and being captains and being available on a weekend to bring teams out for some good competition. I do appreciate it. I do have a quick slideshow that I'm going to show and go over just some basics, but this is really a very light meeting. If you have questions, feel free to come off mute and ask them, or you can drop them in the chat at any time. I want to make sure that we get all of your questions answered as best that we can. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go over a quick little PowerPoint, and we will go from there. All right. Let's do, all right, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you guys again for coming. This is the adult 40 and over section championship that's this weekend in Eastern Mass. So this is
Rhode Island, right?
And Rhode Island, sorry. Yep, and Rhode Island, yes. That's for whatever reason, I keep forgetting that. Sorry, Charlie, I'm not trying to forget you. This year, so this is the section championship schedule. It was approved last September with the assumption that we would have as many teams as we've had in past years. So the playoffs that are listed on August 27th, 28th, and 29th for the 3-0, 3-5, and 4-0 women, we're actually going to finish the championship for the 3-0 and the 4-0 flights this coming weekend, and the only flights that will have advanced, that will have any more championships on a different weekend are the 3-5 women. That's a change from the published calendar.
My parents were in Florida now.
That's a change from the published calendar. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. This is the national championship calendar. It's also available on our website and also on the National League website. As you can see, the 40 and over nationals are kind of all over the place. So the 4-0s are October 8th through the 10th in Oklahoma City. The 4-5s and 3-5s are on the 15th and through the 17th in Scottsdale in Oklahoma City. The 3-0s are October 22nd through 24th in Surprise, Arizona. So depending on the level, you're going to be in a different location and a different weekend. Oh. So our 40 and over section championship is August 13th through 15th. You guys all know that. I didn't put in the clubs in Rhode Island, but I'll have Charlie pop on and tell which one. So Winchester, Woburn, and Bass River in Eastern Mass. For the Eastern Mass clubs, there are no COVID restrictions at this time. I know we've had a lot of questions about this, but right now we are going by state and local guidelines, which say if you're unvaccinated, they recommend that you wear a mask. We will not be taking any medical information or asking for vaccination cards. So if you feel like wearing a mask, you are more than welcome to. If you are vaccinated and feel safe and don't want to wear a mask, that is fine as well. The clubs have been asking that we have water only on the courts. We know it's really hot, but the Gatorade, when it spills, has been staining the courts, and they would appreciate us keeping them a little bit without the stains. So the showers in the bathrooms have been open, but the vending has been limited, so you might need to bring your own snacks. Charlie, can you pipe in and talk about the Rhode Island clubs for us?
Sure. We're using Forecourt Racket and Fitness Club in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And then we have Tennis Rhode Island in Warwick, Rhode Island, and then a Tennis Rhode Island in East Providence, Rhode Island. If you look at your schedules, the EB is the Tennis Rhode Island in East Providence, and the WB is the Tennis Rhode Island in Warwick, Rhode Island. And that's just short for East Bay and West Bay because it's across Narragansett Bay from each other. Pretty much the exact same thing with the clubs themselves. They are requiring masks in the lobby For anyone who's unvaccinated, if you are vaccinated, it is okay not to wear a mask, but if you want to, please do so. And there are no masks required on the court at this point. If anything changes, I'll get an email out to everybody. Again, water only on the courts is a good idea. Most of them would prefer that. The showers and bathrooms are open, but there will be no towel service, so bring your own towels. And probably most of the clubs don't have any vending at all. I know Forecourt, I was there this past weekend for the 18s, and there's no vending, so bring your own snacks. But most of them will have, you know, if you need to buy a bottle of water, they all have liquor licenses. So, you know, if you want to stay and drink the bar dry, you can. So, but that's pretty much it. I will check the COVID restrictions to see if anything changes with any of the clubs, though. Get that out to anybody before we go out. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have seen quite a few payments come through, so if you haven't paid, please pay as soon as possible. For any of you that have had flights change in number because a team has dropped out, we will be processing refunds for the next lower flight size. So don't worry about that. We will make sure that the money gets back to you as soon as possible as well. Communication, as you guys know, it comes from section staff before the championships through emails. We also have the championship webpage, and we try to keep you updated as quickly as possible with any of the changes, especially the COVID protocols, and if there are any schedule changes as well. During the championships, we may need to call or text or talk to you in person. So we definitely need your most updated contact information, your most updated cell phone. If you have somebody that's going to stand in as a captain for you for a part or all of the time, please let us know, let your tournament and your site director know. So if they do need to get a hold of you, they can, or if they need to get a hold of the acting captain, they can as well. It just makes it easier for us. A few basic regulations. Before your first match, you need to check in 45 minutes. Sorry, I put prior to the tournament. It's actually prior to the start of your first match. It gives you time to get your scorecards, to get your player gifts, and gives you some time to fill out your scorecards for your first match. So the captain must check in and provide all lineups 30 minutes prior to match start time. All of your players should be there 30 minutes early. If we have open courts, we will start to put players out up to 30 minutes early. All players must provide a government issued ID prior to playing.
Christy?
Yeah, sure.
That 30-minute time, can you call, if it's the first match of the day, would they call it 30 minutes earlier?
They can call it 30 minutes earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then also there's no coaching of any kind. So if your players are watching from above or on the side of the courts, even please don't let them coach. There's no way to move your feet, or if they look at you and they want water and they communicate with you in the lobby, that can be considered coaching and a point penalty and can be negative points for them. So if they need anything at all, 3 people stay on the court, leave a racket, 1 person comes straight to the tournament desk. Don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to any of the players. Don't talk to anybody in the lobby, nobody but the tournament desk. I just want to do a reminder on that because it has been hot and we've had some players trying to signal up to their team that they need water. But that's also considered coaching. So I just wanted to put that out there. We have a few questions in the chat.
Yeah. Jen Grant needs you to resend the email with the jot form link for payment.
Okay.
We ought to take a look and just verify the email. What's your email, Jen? Make sure that it went to the correct one. Just put it in the chat and we'll grab it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then Are there ice
You get it?
machines? Okay, Charlie got that one. I did see something about spectators as well. And spectators are allowed. Yes, they are allowed. But if COVID protocols change on a dime, we might ask them to leave. I don't see that happening as of yet. So, Maria, if you'll send me an email, I'll check for you. Just shoot me an email.
Yeah, Maria, I thought I saw you, as to be honest.
Well, I've been paying for so many different teams. I can't keep track of them at this point.
Yeah.
So we don't have a heat contingency for over 90 degrees. And I'm unfamiliar with what's been done in the past, but just bring plenty of water and drink water the day before, a couple days before, and be ready to kind of be a little bit hot out there. We are not doing t-shirts this year, so there's no t-shirt request forms, but all of the players on your roster will get a player gift, and it's a towel. So everybody on your roster will get one. If a player's played more than twice during yes, as long as they played this year only because of COVID, the COVID player eligibility standards being lessened a little bit at nationals. If they played twice, and they had to have actually played twice, a default does not count. They don't have to play at sectionals to play at nationals if you advance. That is a true story. Okay, so the format, went too far. The format, it's a round robin format, just like normal. And then the winners of the round robins will advance to playoffs, some of them this weekend. And like I said, the 3-5s will go in 2 weeks in Eastern Mass. 2 out of 3 regular sets, regular scoring, 10-point tiebreaker in the event of split sets. Switch on the odd games. There's no time limit, so play it out until you are done. You'll get a 10-minute warm-up that does include serves. And when your players come back after they play their match, a player from each team needs to come initial the score so that we know that each team agrees with the score. And then when all of the matches have been played, a captain from each team needs to look at the scores, make sure they agree with the score, and they each need to sign the scorecard. All right. I wanted to go over the no default championship setup. We've been having a little bit of, I think everybody's struggling a little bit because of COVID and fewer players being able to play. But we're a no default championship. So if you can't field a team for all the days that you could possibly play, Friday and Saturday, and if you advance on Sunday, then you would be unable to play at all. Now, if there's an unintended default, for instance, you get there on Friday and somebody gets hurt, swimming in the hotel pool, and they can't play the next day and you don't have anybody to replace them, that line would be a default as 6060. Any future play would also be defaulted on that line, and any previous play on that line would be reversed to 6060, so that everybody in the flight has the same mathematical advantage of the default. I'm going to kind of open that one up for questions because I'm not sure I explained it very well, and Pete and Charlie might be able to explain it a little bit better than I did with the defaults. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. We do run our 3-strike DQ report throughout the championship weekend. Anyone who receives a 3rd strike would also be disqualified, and the matches would be reversed.
Christy,
yeah.
Christy, anyone and the strikes apply only to the 40+ league, correct? Or do they apply to across other age leagues?
Strikes are only for active leagues. In this case, the only thing that's active is the championship. So there are only those. And if you finish a round robin and you are in, you know, a 3-team round robin for finals and you struck out, it would only be applied to that, not to your qualifying for the 3-team round robin.
Okay, and any player who's already, and the strikes only apply once the championship starts, or does it apply to anything in the regular season? Would a player have already received a strike during the regular season, is my question.
Yes, they could
Okay.
have received a strike last year.
Will they know that going in?
No,
Okay,
And Christy, we had a question from Jackie in the chat about the defaults. What if it is an injury default? If you, all you have to do, like, for example, if you have one serve in a match and somebody gets hurt, that's not a default, that's a retirement if they can't continue. So the only time that you would have a situation where you could possibly have an injury default would be if it happened during the warm-up. But if it happens during the warm-up and the player can't continue, you are allowed to replace that player with, if you have a backup.
So could you just give an example again of what a default in this scenario would be? That would be not being able to complete a line or,
Player doesn't show up,
not showing up for a match.
you know, I mean,
I mean, that's really, you know, anything else, you've got a player there. You don't have a player, that's a default.
Yeah, but I think there's something about an injury during warm-up where it does not carry through to the rest of the matches, if I remember correctly. I would have to, hang on one second. Let me just grab that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
That would also include if it was during the match too. Not just a
Christie?
warm-up.
If it's during the match, it's considered a retirement, yes.
Right.
So if you have an unintended default, and obviously it would be prior to the matches starting, do you automatically go to like 3D or 2D, or how do you pick what line is being defaulted?
It automatically goes to third doubles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if a player is injured or becomes ill during warm-up and no replacement is available, that regulation about losing the rest of the positions all through the round robin does not apply. So, you know, because you've had a player out there and they're intending to play. So that's the only time it doesn't apply.
There was this question about what's considered a strike. A strike is when a player plays significantly into the next level. And generally speaking, you know, we're not talking about some, you know, let's say a 5-player is a little bit into the 4-0. We're not talking a little bit into the 4-0. We're talking about way into the 4-0, like near the top of that next level. So, I mean, I would say that in general, captains can tell whether or not their players are, you know, maybe pushing things a little bit or way out of level. So.
Again, this only applies to self-rated or appealed players, right?
Correct.
All right, so that is the end of the PowerPoint. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Did we get to all the, I see quite a few questions in the chat. Did we get to all the?
I think we got to most of the, yeah, right. I think we got to most of them. There was one from Laura about, you know, if an injury during warm-up before the match starts, a sub can be entered. Is that correct? That is correct. You can replace a player if they're injured or become ill during the warm-up.
Yes.
I think there was a question about if the match was at 2-2. What were the tiebreakers in there? I think that was earlier in the chat. I think we hadn't hit that yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
how do you determine winner? That was from Jackie also.
Do you have
how
it
do you-
pulled up? Do you want to grab it? I have it up here somewhere. All right. Hold on, sorry, I just had it pulled up. Here we go. Okay, so for the adult 40 and over, matches consisting of 4 positions, 1 singles and 3 doubles. In the championship events, the winner is determined by team wins. So 1 team point is awarded for the individual matches won. If it's tied at 2-2, the tie shall be broken by the first of the following methods to do so. Sets, the loser of the fewest number of sets. The loser of the fewest number of games is next. Game winning percentage, total games won divided by total games played, is third. And the winner of the number 1 doubles is fourth. So that's the determination of a match.
Christy, it doesn't come down, since I've experienced in the last 2 playoffs that we had, that it was over team wins, then individual wins, and then head-to-head. Head-to-head doesn't play a factor in this.
To win the individual match in this one, head-to-head does not play a factor.
Okay.
Now, in the round robin itself, for the whole round robin, the team with the most team wins is the winner of the flight. If there's a tie with the winners of the flights, the tie is broken by individual matches won head-to-head, loser of fewest number of games, loser of fewest number of sets, and loser of fewest number of games, game winning percentage, and then a coin toss. So when I send out this recording to everybody, I will send out the championship regulations. This is under 13 scoring. And then it has its own subset of adult 40 and over. So you guys can have that in front of you at the championships as well.
We had a couple of other snacks on court, bananas and so on. Probably depends on the club. So I would at least in Rhode Island, I would just check with the club. The club representative that's there, and they'll let you know about that. Bathroom breaks and leaving the court properly. Bathroom breaks are a reasonable amount. You should time them between sets if you can, if not on an odd game. And if worse comes to worse, run.
And if you leave the court for any reason, including a bathroom break, you are not allowed to talk to teammates.
Right.
Not for any reason.
And you should leave rackets visible on the court. The reason for that is simply because we might think you finished and send another match out. So leave your rackets, in the middle of the court so we see that people are still out there. Jenny said definitely 1 singles, 3 doubles. Yes.
Yeah, and a 7-point tie break for the set, a 10-point in lieu of a third set. Both of those are Komen tie breaks. Yep. I saw something about Saturday, Sunday. So I don't have the schedule. We won't have the schedule yet for the 3-5 playoffs the last weekend in August, but it looks like it's going to be 6 total teams. So we will do 2 3-team flights for round robins. My feeling is it will be Saturday and Sunday play only for that. No guarantees officially, but that's my feeling at this point for the 3-5 women's playoffs.
Medical timeouts. Yes. 3 minutes for a regular injury. If there's bleeding involved, 15 minutes.
Christy, can I go back to the last, about the playoff weekend?
Yeah.
So if there's only going to be 2 flights, just wondering if it could be Saturday for those that work.
Well, we can't do it all in one day because we can only have 2 matches out. You can only play twice in one day. But I will do my very best to make sure it is only Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so there are 2, I thought you said 2 flights of 3,
2
No.
flights of 3, yes.
and that,
That should be very easy to do in a Saturday, Sunday.
okay. And can I go back to the, about this playoff? So is that for districts that weekend? Or did we just jump right to sectionals this year?
So the way that 40 and over has been done is that this technically is all sectionals, but as it grew, they've had to take sectionals over more than one weekend. And so it kind of looks like a district and then sectional playoff, but it's all sectionals just with extra playoffs on a different day.
Okay, because when my team moved forward before, we had districts one weekend and then we had sectionals a different weekend for 40 plus. 55s went right to sectionals, but 40 plus had districts and then sectionals. So
We had playoffs for the women 3-0, 3-5, and 4-0. All of the other divisions would finish in the first weekend. So we called it championships rather than calling it a sectional championship or a district championship.
but this is sectionals then.
It,
I mean, whoever
Yes,
wins
it
this
is
goes right to
sectionals.
nationals, right?
yes, it is. It's just over 2 weekends.
Okay,
And-
and so whatever teams win will go right to nationals from August.
From the last
Correct.
weekend. in August.
Yes.
Okay, so this is like sectionals. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We had a question about breaks between matches, 30 minutes. That's correct.
Mhm.
We try to get you more, but that is correct. Minimum is 30 minutes. And explain the 7-point Coleman.
Well, before we do that, I do want to go back to the 30 minutes before.
Okay.
That only is within a single NTRP value. So if you're playing 3-5 and 4-0 and you're playing back-to-back matches, you're not entitled to that 30 minutes. If it ends up having, if you're playing 3-5 match and they end up like one's really long and you're supposed to play another 3-5 match right there, then you do get 30 minutes. But in between with more than one NTRP value, you're not guaranteed the 30 minutes.
But that 30 minutes, the clock starts when the last position comes off the court, right?
It starts when your position comes off the court.
Yeah.
The last position, right?
No, your position, whatever position you're in. I mean, obviously, it would
It
be
is-
the last one that has the shortest time frame, but for anybody, you could have a match go out earlier. Like if you played first singles, you could have a first singles match go out fairly early. So it's 30 minutes, no matter what the position is you're playing.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that person is going to play that position in the second match.
No, Doug,
No. No,
the 30 minutes resides with the individual player. So if that individual player plays a different position, doesn't matter. The 30 minutes resides with the individual player.
So every player is protected. Great. Okay, got it.
So the 7-point Coleman tiebreak is the first person will serve 1 point from the deuce side. You switch sides, and then there are 4 serves, so 2 and 2, and then you switch again at 5. And we have in the end of the championship regulations, it does list out how to play the Coleman tiebreak. What it's done in doubles is it keeps you on the same side serving that you have been serving in the past. It's a little bit different with singles, but it's typically on the same side for when you're serving.
Just again, not to belabor this point, but we've run afoul of this in the past. The 30 minutes on a player and your lineup is supposed to be in at 30 minutes before the match. So you're asking for the lineup to go in in some case, before you know whether that final person can make the second match. You need to talk to the player when he comes off the court even if he's scheduled to play the second match, to see if he can make the second match. That's, we've run afoul of this in the past. I hear what you're saying, Peter, but it can be a problem. I turn in my lineup for the entire match, and then my final guy comes off the court and he's allowed 30 minutes, but he's scheduled to go, but he's no longer going to go. He says, I'm done. I'm cooked. So now my lineup is in, it can't be changed, and my player says I can't play. It's just a little technicality, but we've run into it more than once. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I don't know what to tell you, Doug. It's at the discretion of the tournament director. What I do when I've got a situation like that, I don't want the lineup until they come off the court.
Got it.
I can't
That's
send
a
anybody
work.
out
Right.
until,
Right.
they come off the court. I can't start another match while, the same team is still in progress on a different match.
So in essence, the way you're running it is 30 minutes. The clock starts when the last position comes off the court. That's basically what you're saying. Yeah, and that
Or
works.
an individual player. But if you gave me the lineup, and let's just say singles, okay? Everybody else came off half an hour ago.
Right.
And you gave me the lineup, I will put out everyone except that singles player at that
Right.
point in time, right away, if I have the courts open.
Yeah,
Make
Doug,
sense?
Right.
Doug,
right.
Doug is,
And that
Doug
works.
is worried about putting his lineup in, not knowing if a player can play or how he's feeling and stuff like that. Because, you might have had a guy who plays a big long singles match. You might want to move him into doubles or something like that. And yes, we have had that issue in the past.
Right.
So the question is how to handle it. It's at the discretion of the site directors, but I think what we ought to do with site directors is say, yeah, we know they got to turn in a lineup, but if a player can't play, you allow a substitution at the very least. I mean, we
Right.
don't want
That-
defaults.
But aren't
It's-
the matches pretty much staggered time-wise to permit to be enough of a gap between matches so that doesn't come
Nope.
up?
We,
No?
No.
we try that, but sometimes matches run early and, like this weekend at most of the clubs, I expected to run early. So if there's a big, long match, and that team is going out, and it's scheduled to go out an hour and a half later, but this match takes over 3 hours, you may be in that situation. So you just have to, make sure your site directors understand that the captains are going to have a difficult, they may have a difficult time with their lineups, and you either allow a substitution or you don't take the lineup until they're ready. And it might push you back a little bit, but it's for the best of the tournament too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Charlie. Right. That's it in a nutshell.
So I would say if any of you run into that situation this weekend, is you talk to either Christy or Peter or myself. I'll be in Rhode Island and they'll be in Eastern Mass, and and we can talk to the site director about what to do and how to make it work for you.
Sounds good.
So there's a question about the weekends. So this weekend is the adult 40 and overs. The weekend of August 20th and 22nd is adult 18 and over sectionals in Western Mass. The 3-5 women's playoffs are the weekend of August 27th, 28th, 29th. I may have misspoken. Does that, it was Kristen Page that put that in there. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it does answer the question. It just before on the previous schedule, it had said the 20th and the 21st. And a couple of us work on the weekend. So we had taken that weekend off if the championship was going into that. But now it's the 28th and 29th. So we're like, oh, at least we could play Friday since we're working that Saturday. That was just I know that was something that had been planned back in September. I totally get it that things had changed, but when we looked at it, we took that weekend off.
Okay, I gotcha. Yep.
So just because it was brought up that it would be great if you could play on the weekends because people work on Fridays, but some people do work on, they scheduled that weekend thinking it was going to be the weekend of the 20th and 21st.
It's pretty set in stone, so I don't,
Okay.
oh yeah, sorry about that. It's pretty set in stone, so.
No, that's fine. It just said, yeah, that's fine. I just saw
Yeah.
that it was, yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so if you've got a 10:30 Friday morning match, your players need to be there at 10, ready to go, shoes tied, racket in hand. If that's your first match, please be there 45 minutes early so that we can hand you your scorecards and we can get you your towels and that kind of thing. So they just need to be there 30 minutes early. And then Jen, with an example of 2-2 scoring. So if you guys are playing a match and 1 singles and 1 doubles of your team wins and 2 doubles and 3 doubles of their team wins, that would be considered a 2-2 tie. And that's where you would go to the tie break procedure to break the tie for that individual team win. Does anybody else have any questions? I answer the questions that were asked. Sometimes I read really fast and maybe don't answer the questions exactly as they're asked. So I apologize for that.
So Christy, you're saying that within a match, a regular match in this weekend, if you end up being 2-2, you have to play out some sort of tie break to determine a winner? I thought you just went to that next level.
No, you just go to the next level
yeah.
of the tie break procedure. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess John wants to make sure that John Drew wants to make sure about that tiebreak procedure too. Maybe we should just go over it one more, just say what it is one more time.
Okay, so within a team match, team A versus team B, if line one, like 1 singles and 1 doubles of one team wins and 2 doubles and 3 doubles of the other team wins, that's a 2-2 tie. So the way that team win would be, the tie would be broken, would be the first method is the loser of the fewest number of sets. If you're still tied, it would go to the loser of the fewest number of games. If you're still tied, it would be whoever had the highest game winning percentage. And then if it's still tied after that, it would be the winner of the number 1 doubles position. Now, when it comes within a flight, if you've got a 4-team flight and 1 and 2 are tied, the way that that's broken is the first way is with individual matches won, head-to-head is second, loser of fewest number of sets, and then loser of fewest number of games, game winning percentage, and then a coin toss. Hopefully after all that, we wouldn't need a coin toss. Game winning percentage ought to kill all of it. So, but that's all listed. Like I said, I will send out, when I send out this recording, I will also send out a copy of the championship regulations. It's number 13. It's underscoring, and you just have to go to the adult 40 and over paragraphs. The first paragraph is the paragraph about the individual match win, and the second paragraph is about the flight winners and how to break a tie break with the flight winners. Oh, somebody did lose on a coin toss one year. Oh, Janice, that's terrible. That's so terrible. Oh.
Yeah, was that in Rhode Island, Janice?
It's heartbreaking.
It's
In Boston.
in Boston. Yeah, we had it happen in Rhode Island one year. It was awful.
Okay, so we've got a question about the timing. So if this match is scheduled at 10:30, but the courts are available at 9:45, the earliest we would put players out is 10. We can put players out 30 minutes early. So if it's 9:45 and they're en route, they're okay. And then if they're called and it's after 10 or after the time that they're called, I want to make sure I do this. The friend at court actually lays out how the timing works with the default procedure, because it ends up being a total of 15 minutes, but there's a stair-step procedure. Well, of course, I can't find it. At 5, I want to say at 5 minutes, it's loss of
The
game.
first, if you're late,
Thank you.
if you're late immediately, it's loss of toss and 1 game. At 5 minutes and 1 second, loss of 2 games. 10 minutes and 1 second, loss of 3 games. 15 minutes and 1 second, default.
Pete, I'm curious, what would you consider when the player is, has arrived and is not subject to the default? Would you say that's when they get to the desk or to the court? I mean, I would say desk, but
Yeah, it has to be desk, really.
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the reasons that the site people write the time of when courts are sent out?
yes, that's correct.
But Charlie was talking about someone runs in, are they ready to play on the court? No, they ready to play at the desk. Has to be at the desk. You're putting them in court 10, it's not the same as putting them out to court 1.
Right.
And again, we want players to play. We're not trying to be punitive about this, but what has happened in years past for this to be so strictly driven is, well, my player's on their way, they'll be here in 5 minutes, and then 5 turns to 10, and then 10 turns to 15. And then you give people a little bit of slack or you don't, and then the next day somebody else has it. It really can make the tournament very chaotic, and it can make it really difficult to get people out on court. So we're not trying to be punitive in any way, but we have to have a cutoff somewhere. And so the 15 minutes that's in front of court is what we use.
The site directors, tournament directors, they do have the right to change the order that they send a match out. And, so for example, if, say a player is running late, we can skip that position and go to the other position so that because we don't want defaults. So the most important thing for you to do is if you have a player running late, is to communicate with the site director. Let them know that issue is occurring so that they can do their best to keep the tournament running on time and not be calling a match and having an empty court for whatever amount of time. We want to get everybody out there to play. And that's the same thing if you have a player playing a long match and you're trying to get your lineup and communicate with your site director and let them know about that.
So there's a question about foot faults, and the foot faults are a little bit of a difficult situation, but you would treat them just like you would in your regular local league. I'm working on officials. I don't have 100% guarantee that we're going to have officials this weekend. I have a verbal commitment. If you have a problem with it and we have officials, then you can take it through the officials. Otherwise, you would need to come to the desk just like you would for any other reason. You would need a tournament person and talk to your tournament desk, and they can come stand on court for a game or 2 or 3 and watch. Is that so? How in the past Charlie and Pete, has that been handled?
Usually if someone asks for a line judge or has having problems, usually you stay out there if it's a doubles match for 4 games, so everybody serves, or if it's singles for 2 games is what we would normally do. But we're also going to use our judgment. Like this past weekend, we had an issue on the court and the players just couldn't stop arguing. So I stayed out there till the end of the match just to keep them from not arguing.
Well, I had a question about that. I had a match, one of my players had a match this weekend. It was a singles match where her opponent, she said, and other people confirmed who had been watching the match, the other opponent repeatedly called balls that were in, out. And this one was wearing sunglasses and a visor indoors. And, you know, it's hard to judge sometimes. And she went to the tournament desk and they said that they couldn't send anyone out.
Where was that?
That was in East Hartford, I think.
Hi, this is Susanna. We can take this offline. I was told about it. My understanding was that they were told about it after the match was over. But I mean, if there was a spare person, they can send somebody. But if there isn't a spare person, they can't leave the tournament desk and come down.
Right.
I can circle back with them as to exactly when that happened.
Anything else? Any other questions you guys have for us?
I had just one final question. I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, but just since a lot of stuff is just fresh in my memory, right from districts this past weekend. We had an issue when we went on court that it wasn't me, it was my partner who noticed that the net looked really high. And so we asked them to come down and measure, and it kind of gave us a hard time. And they're like, it's a solid, you know, it's an exact 37 inches. And we're like, but that's not right. And it took a little back and forth to get somebody to actually admit that the net was too high and we had to change it. Are the nets and everything else on the court not supposed to be ready for when you first go out?
They are. Well, they are. I mean, first thing in the morning, you go out and you check them. But if a player requests that the net be checked, then someone should go out and check the net and fix it if it needs to be.
All right. Anything else, everybody? Okay, well, I appreciate you guys getting on a Monday evening. And you guys have all of our email addresses, so feel free to shoot us an email if you have any other questions. And I will get this recording and the championship regulations out to you guys as soon as possible. It kind of depends on how long it takes to download. Sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's not. So I will do that as soon as I can get it to you so that you can pass it on or watch it again. But I do appreciate it. And I hope that you guys have a great championship weekend. I won't get to see all of you, but I'll get to see some of you. So enjoy the weekend and have a great matches.
Thank you.
Thank you.